Hello? Hello? Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for attending our press conference today, thank you. I am here on behalf of Women Against Red Dye. As we all know, red dyes taste disgusting. They leave a terrible red film in your mouth, and they are unappealing visually. I think we can all agree that red dyes have no place in the baking world. Today, we are pleased to announce that we have been joined by many groups, and we are forming a coalition of women against red dye. Coward! How did we miss that? So let's be brave and talk about red icing. There are really 5 things that you need to consider when making red icing. The first is, don't do it. If you can, it's best to avoid red icing. Some people are just unsure, they've had bad red icing experiences before, it can taste bitter, and so I like to just redesign a cake or a cookie altogether to avoid red whenever possible. But I get it. Occasionally, your little chubby-cheeked preschooler is gonna say, Mom, I really want an Elmo cake. And there's no way around it. You're gonna have to make red icing. So that brings us to number 2. If you're going to make red icing, you need to have a strong base flavor. That could be a good quality vanilla, it could be cherry or strawberry, and those might even add toward the color that you're aiming for as well. Today I'm going to be using a strong vanilla buttercream. I want you to use a strong flavor that's of good quality so it can overcome any bitterness from the red dye that we use. So number 3, I want you to get this halfway there. No. By using pink. Now it's possible that the flavor you chose for your icing would already help you in that regard. If you use strawberry powder or cherry juice, you may already have pink icing, and that's a great start. But since I'm starting with vanilla, I'm going to be using pink dye to get to the pink color that I need. And that leads us to number 4. I want you to use a good gel dye. Gel dyes are perfect for icings like this. Today I'm going to be using Americolor. It's a good brand, but there are other brands that you could use. I'm using fuchsia to dye this icing pink before I even touch the red dye. So now I'm going to add this fuchsia color in a couple of drops at a time to make a nice bold pink. I like to use the fuchsia because it is still very pink, but it tinges toward purple, which means that I can overcome any of the yellow that is in the red dyes. That is very vibrant, but I think I'll go ahead and add one more drop just to help get us that much further along to red. You can see how very little of the gel dye is necessary to make a vibrant color. So this is really good rather than using a liquid dye. Now that I've achieved a very bright pink, I'm going to start adding red. I want to add as little red as possible, so I'm going to carefully add just a little bit at a time. It's not quite vibrant enough, so one more drop. This leads us to number 5. It's best to do this a day in advance because the color will develop over time. I want to stop before I actually reach red because the color from these dyes will intensify over time, especially overnight. I think I'm going to add one more drop to bring it just that much closer to red, and then I'm going to be done. It's important at this point too to give it a taste. No bitterness at all. I am using Americolor Super Red, which can be quite bitter in high quantities, but notice that I only needed to use 3 drops to achieve something close to red. So I realize that this doesn't look exactly red yet, but by the time this sits overnight, it will intensify to a nice, vibrant red color. Make sure you cover your icing, and leaving it at room temperature is best. There's enough sugar in this that it won't spoil or go bad, but it works best to intensify the color at room temperature. I mixed this red about 15 hours ago, close to this color that I just mixed. Notice how much more intense the red color is. That is very red and would please any preschooler looking for a Muppet cake. If you do make a red icing, let us know how it turns out in the comments below. And if this was interesting to you, check out our other video where we explore all the different kinds of dye, what adding too much dye will do, and even natural dyes like beets.